Hi, I'm Jamie Catania of Shovel the Sidewalk. We're a marketing firm in Buffalo, New York, building brands and creating advertising for small businesses. And we utilize the power of authentic storytelling. That's why we created Sidewalk Talk. It's a way for business owners, thought leaders, and entrepreneurs to share stories of motivation and inspiration, especially during this crazy time that we're living in right now. And on this episode, I have two founders of the company Newsource, Morgan Lewis and Eric Maziol. Guys, thanks again for being on the show. How's everything going?
It's good to be here. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Doing great, Jamie. How are you?
Doing great. I always start off the episode with having our guests share how they started the company and why they started the company. So, from what I've learned about you guys, it is a commercial electric business, and you both came together. And from what I understand, it wouldn't have started without putting both of your heads together. How did this come to be? How did you guys meet each other, and why did you start Newsource?
Well, go ahead, Eric. Actually,
Yeah, so we met through a mutual friend. Just the kind of circles that we're in. We're around people who are thinkers. That's kind of who I gravitate towards, and we both just had that same kind of like scientific, like engineering perspective, and we hit it off right away.
Yeah. The first weekend I hung out with Eric, we actually pulled a motor out of a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. I asked him what he was doing that weekend. He said, "Oh, I'm pulling a motor out of a car." I'm like, "Okay, great. I'll see when do you want to get started?"
I was like, this guy, and then I realized that I really could have used the help pulling the motor out. It's much easier with two people.
Yep.
So yeah, that was great.
Yeah, we decided shortly after that we wanted to be in business. Originally we had set out to make batteries, and that's still on the horizon. That's on the back burner, so to speak. We were working on a provisional patent, and we actually got that filed before this whole thing came to be. But we originally started out to do that. We both had jobs. I was working as an electrician at basically an electrician mill, company with 80 people working there, and it was drudgery. The work was drudgery. And Eric had was it like an IT job or something like that? It was.
Oh yeah, I was working at a tech firm at the time.
Yeah.
I was a systems administrator for a few different companies, and so basically that wasn't really taking me where I wanted to go. I left that job for another really cushy job at like this laboratory, and that left me with a couple months severance pay, and that was enough time for start the business. And then so simultaneously, Morgan had something happen in his life that kind of led to the gears aligning. Morgan, you want to?
Oh yeah. That was so essentially I had a year of experience in the electrical field, and I decided I wanted to advance my career, and I was going to take the residential test. So I signed up to take the residential test, and the town screwed up my paperwork and sent out for the master's test. And the way it works, it's linked to your social security number. So the test is formulated to you. Your test comes, it has your name already printed on it with your social security number. You can't, just get another test the day of the test, and it's sent from some company in Texas. So, they send you a confirmation letter saying the test has been sent out. It'll be there on a Saturday to the administrator, and congratulations, you're taking the master's test or whatever. So I called the testing company. I said I only signed up for the residential, and they said, well, call the town. They put in for the master's. So I called the town, and they said, oh, we screwed up the paperwork. That's okay, you can take the Grand Island test, which was a different municipality, and we'll count it towards the credit if you pass. And I said, well, what if I take the master's test and I pass? And the guy kind of laughed. He said, well, I don't think you're going to pass, but sure, you can try it, Morgan. You know that it will get harder though if you fail it. And so I took the test. I went in there, and I passed the test by 1 point. Wow. I will say I had studied quite a bit in the year leading up to that, though. So I feel like I was ready, but I was not planning on taking that test, and I did pass it. And I quit my job 2 days later, after a short conversation with my boss, where he basically told me that, he wasn't going to change anything with my level of responsibility. And I had always wanted to do the entrepreneurial side of things anyways. So it was very easy to just walk off the job and quit. We actually had started the company, I would say maybe 4 or 5 months before I walked off the job.
Oh,
So,
really? Was that long ago?
That long you
Yeah.
planned, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a perfect example too of, I think a lot of people, when they want to go into entrepreneurship, they think, this is all going to happen overnight. But I'm sure there was a ton of nights of just staying up, formulating plans. It wasn't just, hey, I'm quitting my,
Oh, yeah.
I just passed and I'm quitting my job, right?
Eric, do you want to, you want to fill them with some amusing anecdotes?
Yeah, I mean, the late nights for me are not an unusual thing. Being a tech guy for so long, I had a lot of late nights working on the phone system. Morgan was out hitting the pavement and doing the marketing and sales, and was very successful at that. I kind of built some infrastructure, and that took some time. Yeah, that was definitely grueling because in that early period, you're doing a lot of work and you're not making any money for it. The purpose of going into business is to be able to separate how much money you make from how much work you're doing. And you have this little trade-off, I guess. Like when we started, of course, I think everybody has the same story. Everybody who starts a business, there's a trade-off in the beginning about you're willing to put a lot of work in and not get a lot of money out. And then later on, you only have to put a little work in to get a lot of money out because you've put so much of yourself into this that it's almost like creating a little child, that it can actually grow legs and move on its own.
It's a very accurate description of what it is. I mean, essentially, it's grueling. The first year was grueling, to say the least. I remember, like, we both were just. I went over to Eric's house. I walked over. I'm like, I quit my job today. It's like, oh, that's great. Well, what do we do now? And then it's a matter of just finding a groove, and just, you have to get up and do it every day. There's a lot of commitment that you got to put into it, and a lot of effort that goes into building something. It does not happen overnight, and most people do not have the temerity to do it. I see why people usually drop out of this or don't even try it, because it's a lot of work. It's extremely rewarding though.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty in it too. It's not just about the work. It's about sometimes you don't know when the next time you're going to be able to pick up a check is. You don't know where your next work is coming from.
Yes.
You make some friends, and you got places where you can go and eat dinner, without paying money. That's useful in the beginning of starting a business.
Sure.
The power company guy knows you by name because he's been out there to turn your power off so many times. But it's rewarding, and there's a level of freedom that is incomprehensible to the average person. They just cannot understand, like, how at 2:00 on a Tuesday afternoon we could just go to the gym, and we just do whatever we want, and we leave the phone in the truck, and I'm just going to take today for myself. And there's also a lot of you are the captain of your own destiny. When you own a business, you really are able to steer the ship in whatever direction you want to go. And Eric and I are idea guys. I guess this circles kind of to how we got to starting Newsource UV, and we.
I want to talk about that next, Morgan. I don't mean to cut you off, but
go ahead.
With everything going on right now, at the time of this recording, we're dealing with the pandemic, COVID-19, and you both you saw this opportunity that is kind of being missed right now, an opportunity to help people. And in a way, you pivoted your business, but also from what you explained, it's going to be the start of a new business. Tell us more about what you're going to be doing and have already started.
Okay. Eric, you want me to take this one, or?
Yeah, well, let me just start off. So a lot of our clients are in healthcare, work with a lot of primary care. And I was talking to one of the doctors who has having trouble with a VPN one night because, obviously there's a lot of remote work that's going on right now. And I happened to mention to him a decontamination room that Morgan and I built so that, we don't track germs into the house. And the doctor expressed some interest in it. And I kind of realized what kind of concern that healthcare workers have about this kind of stuff. And we started, recognize an interest in it, but not only an interest, but we could do something to kind of help out, with the whole the health crisis that we're dealing with right now.
So I'd like to add to that too. We were seeing kind of a trend. There was a few other indicators as well that kind of steered us in this direction. I think one was everybody was, rushing out to go build ventilators, which when you look at the news, I found that very reactionary. If your odds of getting off a ventilator if you have this disease are not very good. I don't know what the exact number is, but I believe it's around an 80% fatality rate if you find yourself on a ventilator. So just building tons of ventilators just didn't make a lot of sense to me. It was reactionary. And that old adage that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. There's a way to, prevent the transmission of this. You can disinfect surfaces with UV light. We found this out through research. Eric and I were doing research on this, and UV light will sterilize surfaces, and it's a technology that's proven, and there's already companies out there that do it, and the science has been figured out for, what is it, 90 years or something? They started doing this in like 1910 using UV light.
Before the 1900s, I think like 1890 was around when they started to figure this out.
So we basically said, okay, well, what can we do right now that can help mitigate the transmission of this disease and other diseases? And we came up with the solution. We can offer UV sanitation systems. We offer a system that is integrated with the building, and we offer a system that is mobile. And those are our two solutions that we have. And every customer's needs are different, and we like to meet with the clients and go over what their specific needs are and tailor them a solution. We have tests that we can do to show that the technology is effective and working. And that's kind of why we decided to pivot, because there is a need to help people right now, and this is far more important than wiring box stores or installing phone systems and doing telecom. I mean, this is what needed, by the country, and frankly, the world really does need this type of a solution, and nobody's really doing it on a large scale. So that's what
when I first started doing research into not only just UV but all the decontamination methods, I was finding papers from 2010, 2011, particularly from the CDC, and they were saying that it wasn't just getting traction. The science is proven; it's been known for a long time. I really don't think there's been such a need for it until now. Now the need is immense, and it's going to take someone to actually bring it to widespread adoption, and that's where I think we come in. I think we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a perfect example of just being able to adapt to just something crazy, that's something nobody could have ever prevented, and you guys see a need for it right now. And it's going to probably take some education for the public, where they're like, okay, yeah, this makes sense, because you first hear about it and you go, light is going to kill. Light is going to kill. Whoa. Okay.
So last night the president actually was talking about the Brian, I can't remember the guy from the Department of Homeland Security. He was talking about how this COVID-19 is susceptible to sunlight. It brings the half-life on a non-porous surface from 16 hours, say, down to 2 minutes, right, in just sunlight. Now, the sunlight is filtering out most of the effective band of UVC here, so we think our system is going to be incredibly effective in a short period of time. We don't want so people should not be exposed to the UV light, and there are certainly precautions are being taken to make sure that no one is exposed to it. But it does.
It does a very good
work,
job sanitizing surfaces and the air as well. It's been used for a long time. The bulbs that we're using produce 254 nanometer UVC light, which is a frequency of light that does not generate the ozone, which is something you don't want to have because that's an irritant. But it is also at the maximum effective peak for germicidal applications and virus inactivation. What the UV light does is it essentially polymerizes the DNA or the RNA that is inside these organisms or virus particles, and it basically ties them into a knot. So when they do enter a cell, if it's a virus, the ribosomes cannot read that genetic information, and it becomes inert. It is not effective as a virus anymore. And for bacteria, it will tangle its DNA up, so the cell cannot function. It does not have its blueprint anymore, so to speak. And that's how these light frequencies work. It's the same concept of with the sunlight disinfecting it. It's just the sunlight is less effective because the UVC is filtered out by the ozone layer primarily. Guess that's
yeah, that's powerful right there. I mean, it makes sense. That's some of the stuff went over my head, I'll be honest with you, but pretty interesting to know that this is something that exists. We're about to wrap it up shortly, but I was hoping you guys would share some of the successes and failures you've had throughout entrepreneurship for those that are thinking about starting their own business or maybe even going into the field of electricity. What would you like to share with somebody?
Okay, I can, I will give you a couple things. I'll tell you what you have to have. You have to have grit and stick-to-itiveness. You do have to be smart to a degree. You have to be able to think on your feet. If you don't have the grit and the stick-to-itiveness, you will not succeed. So really, if you are going to do this, if somebody's thinking about doing this, really examine okay, who am I as a person and what do I value? Because it's not for everybody, but it is extremely rewarding. And I will tell you, I would do nothing else other than this. I would never have a job ever again. I can't. This is now what I do, and I absolutely love doing it. Eric, I'm sure you have some.
Oh yeah, I mean, so to complement that, I think that the other important thing is actually taking the leap. Because if you're not willing to quit your job, if you're not willing to get that paycheck every week that is coming, you're never going to make it. You're never going to separate how much money you make from how much time you spend. So, take the leap. If it's something you're thinking about, there's really never going to be a good time. It's like quitting smoking. There's never a good time for it, but you just got to do it. You got to pull the Band-Aid off and you'll never look back.
Yeah. I mean, if it's for you, you're going to love it. It's not for most people, but if it is for you, you will absolutely love owning a business. It's one of the most rewarding things you can do. You just have to have faith in yourself, and you have to stick to it. You have to do that. You have to get up every day and try and work smarter, not harder, because otherwise you'll work hard for your whole life. You don't want to work hard your whole life. You want to work smart and efficiently. And if you can do that, you can separate your time from money. Most people trade time for money. You don't want to be in that position where you're trading time for money.
I love it. Very powerful. Guys, if somebody is watching or hearing this and they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Eric, you got the office number for them?
Yeah, so our phone number, we're based in Buffalo. It's 716-301-0113. And then you can find us on Facebook, Newsource UV.
Cool. Website, newsource.co?
Newsourceuv.com. We'll
Perfect.
be set up. We're working on it now. We're focusing most of our efforts on building these actual systems so that
Sure.
we can start being effective. But, the website's coming. I got the domain, so I'm willing to put it out there.
Awesome.
Newsource
I'm glad we were able to connect and share what you guys, have already built and what's in the works right now through the power of adaptation and realizing that there's a problem right now and trying to figure out a solution. Eric and Morgan, thank you for taking the time to be on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jamie. We appreciate you having us.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jamie. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for anybody listening or watching, you could stream all of our podcasts by going to shovelthesidewalk.com. There's a podcast section, or just by going on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, searching Sidewalk Talk. If you have a story to share, feel free to reach out to us. We're always open to having people to share stories of opportunities and, ways to motivate those, especially during this time right now. Guys, thanks again. Hope you have a good one. And this has been Sidewalk Talk.